Hello dear viewer, my name is Mr. Flamtastic. Welcome back to the channel and also the Blamster building. It's been a while. I took some time off to focus on a lot of personal commitments, but I'm back and I've got quite the video for you. Dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals have been the craze ever since I gained the conscience, and from the evidence of movies and other media, it seems it was the craze from way before I was even conceived. A few weeks ago, an exhibition for the dinosaurs of Patagonia as well as the 6 extinctions came to my hometown, and I had to go and check it out. I saw many fossils up close and personal, and even managed to feel the skin impressions of a Carnotaurus. After seeing these magnificent giants up close, it gave me an idea. I wanted to draw some Fossilmon, and for a while I racked my brain on whether to give the remaining regions without Fossilmon their own, or I could round out the types for the existing Fossilmon. After some back and forth, I ultimately decided to round out all the types. I'll be focusing on the traditional idea of Fossilmon, so Pokemon that will revive via a fossil and also having a rock typing. Just to go over the already existing Fossilmon types, Omanite, Omastar, Kabuto, Kabutops, Tortuga, and Caracosta cover the water type, Lilip and Cradily cover the grass type, Amora and Aurorus cover the ice type, Aerodactyl, Archon, and Archeops cover the flying type, Anorith and Armaldo cover the bug type, Cranidos, Rampardos, and Tyrant cover the pure rock type, Tyrantrum covers the dragon type, and finally Shieldon and Bastiodon cover the steel type. In this video, I will not be doing completed forms of the Galar fossils. If you'd like to see that, let me know and maybe I'll do a video completing them and showing what the other existing fossils may have looked like in life. Now, with that out of the way, here are the types in which we are missing: normal, fire, electric, fighting, poison, ground, psychic, ghost, dark, and fairy. But before we begin, I just want to say thank you for clicking onto this video. If by the end you feel you've enjoyed watching or that you've learned something new, please do leave a like, and while you're at it, subscribe if you'd like to see more. It's a simple gesture, but it does help me a lot. So, without further ado, let's travel back in time to a time long before man. Back across 65 million years. As you travel, you would see huge changes in the vegetation and the climate. Even the surface of the earth itself would move as mountain ranges are pushed up by colliding continents. Now, we've reached a remarkable period in Earth's history known as the Cretaceous. It is a very different world. The regions of Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh have not separated into their own islands yet. The Pokemon here bathe in the warm tropical climate. There are no ice caps at the poles. Flowers and broadleaf trees are yet to evolve along with the Pokemon who mimic them. In the air and on the land, the world is dominated by Pokemon, and by far the most common are the Fossilmon. But they aren't the only giants. In the air, huge flying types rule the skies, and below them, massive seafaring mons harvest the rich oceans. But right now, we're standing on the edge of a caldera that is overlooking some volcanic badlands. If you listen closely, you can hear the little chirps of why we're here. This is Saurosuit, the magma Pokemon. Its name a combination of sauropod, the clade of dinosaurs that possessed the huge sizes and long necks, and soot, like the black powder produced by burning coal or wood. Saurosuit are Pokemon that lived in the Badlands around 66 million years ago. Its body is covered in the magma it was incubated in. After reaching level 34, Saurosuit evolves into a Cinderace. Cinderace is also the magma Pokemon. Its name a combination of Icysaurus, the line's main inspiration, and Cinderace, something that is containing cinders. The Cinderace are quiet and determined Pokemon, marching through molten lava to get to the perfect area to lay their eggs. A little bit about Icysaurus. Icysaurus lived about 70 to 66 million years ago in the Lametta Formation in the Gujarat state of India, as well as the Pup Formation in Balochistan, West Pakistan. The Lametta Formation is associated with the Deccan Traps, one of the largest volcanic features on Earth. This led to several researchers to theorize that Icysaurus may have used the volcanic soil in the area to incubate its eggs. I used that theory and the general area Icysaurus used to live in to make it the first rock-fire fossil. I also added the old idea paleontologists had that suggested sauropods were subaquatic because they weren't able to fully support their weight. In this case, it's using the lava around it to support its weight. The subaquatic theory has now been disproven, but I just wanted to take some inspiration from it. Down southwest from this faraway region, we arrive at a different faraway region. The Pokemon in this region experience what is known as the island effect, where smaller Pokemon grow larger and larger Pokemon shrink, possibly due to lack of predators. Scientists aren't sure if this Pokemon experienced this island effect or not, but one thing that is noticeably larger is his Pokemon's appetite. Meet Mawjaw, the hanger Pokemon. Mawjaw gets its name from maw and jaw, which are basically just pointing to his mouth. Based on fossil evidence, scientists have stated that Mawjaw were not picky eaters at all, vacuuming up any and every morsel of food. After defeating 20 Pokemon that share the rock typing, Mawjaw will evolve into Majango. Majango is the deep hunger Pokemon, its name coming from Maw once again, and Majangosaurus, the species of dinosaur this line is based on. In prehistoric times, Majango was a fearsome predator. No Pokemon was spared from its hunger, not even other Majangos. Some info about Majangosaurus. Based on fossil records, researchers believe that Majangosaurus partook in a lot of cannibalism. Some theorize that this could be because while they ate, they might have bitten down on the limb or the head of another Majangosaurus that was feeding with it, and after that, meat is meat. I wanted to have that importance of Majangosaurus be implemented into the Pokemon's idea, and that's why I decided to make it the first rock dark fossil to emphasize how cannibalism is seen. Design-wise, the pattern on its belly suggests a bib, like one worn at a seafood boil. I didn't give it any arms to show how Abylosaurids, the clade of dinosaurs that Majangosaurus belonged to, had even smaller vestigial arms than the T-Rex. I was thinking of giving it a new ability, something along the lines of Cannibal. The ability would make it so that for each type that the opponent shares with Majango, any attack Majango does will do 25% of the opponent's health in true damage. So if the Majango is up against a pure rock type or a pure dark type, each attack Majango does will do 25% of the opponent's total health bar. And if the Majango is against another rock dark type, that 25% would be 50%. So no stats or setup can stop this beast. In the southern region of what is the current-day Greater Unova region was once the home to a plethora of giant Fossilmon. One notable part of the region allows you to see 33 original footsteps made by said Fossilmon carved in rocks from millions of years ago. However, my research team and I managed to extract one of the fossils from the area and revived it. Here we have Riptero. Riptero is the phantom Pokemon. Riptero gets its name from Rip, like rest in peace, Rip like the action to tear, and Tero, derived from the Greek word for wing or feather. In ancient times, Riptero can be heard making their haunting calls from the sides of cliffs. Riptero is based on baby pterosaurs in general, huge heads, kinda small bodies with floppy looking wings. The lack of back legs also alludes to how pterosaurs would run on land, with a running posture similar to that of a cheetah. After defeating 20 ghost-type Pokemon and when evolved at night, Riptero evolves into Thanatosaur. Thanatosaur is also the phantom Pokemon, its name coming from phantom, another word for ghost, Thanatos, the Greek personification of peaceful death, Thanatos Dracon, and its Darkid Pterosaur from Cretaceous Argentina is named translating to Dragon of Death and the words to soar, like to fly. Thanatosaurs often travel on their own, prowling the floodplains for small Pokemon on their stilt-like arms at night. So I wanted to do an Darkid since the only pterosaur Pokemon we have is Aerodactyl. I was back and forth between the Quetzalcoatlus and the Hatzegopteryx, but I then remembered Thanatos Dracon was a thing and decided to use that. I wanted this mon to be the first rock ghost fossil, so what better animal to base it on than the pterosaur named the Dragon of Death. If you travel northwest from the landmass that will one day become Kanto, you'll find yourself in an expensive desert. Here, you'll find an interesting Fossilmon. They're a little fast, so if you manage to spot one, do your best to keep an eye on it. Here we have a Zappy Galley, the dash Pokemon. Zappy Galley gets its name from zap, like the word synonymous with electricity, and Galley, which is derived from Gallus, Latin for chicken, also from Gallimimus. Zappy Galley run around the desert in groups of 2 to 3, oftentimes accompanied by an adult. The adult in question evolves from Zappy Galley at level 35 in the day. Meet Voltomimus, the sprint Pokemon, getting its name from volt, like the measurement of electric potential, and mimus, the Latin word for mimic, also from Gallimimus. Voltomimus dashes across large expanses of the desert it lives in, moving so quick that it's essentially flying. Zappy Galley and Voltomimus are based on the Gallimimus as mentioned. The Gallimimus is actually said to be the fastest moving dinosaur to be discovered. I felt this could play nicely into the electric type, making it, in my opinion, the first rock electric Fossilmon. Design-wise, I also tried to rope in some Roadrunner inspiration as well, as I felt it made sense, since both the Gallimimus and Roadrunners are known for their running, and both seem to come from habitats with similar environments. So, we've gone through the Fossilmon from the Cretaceous period. To recap, we've gone over Sorosuit and its Cinderace, the rock fire types, Mojo and Mojango, the rock and dark types, Riptero and Fanatosaur, the rock ghost types, and Zappy Galley and Voltomimus, the rock electric types. Now, let's go back even further, back to the Jurassic period 145 million years ago, a time when life on Earth was at its most spectacular. If we dive beneath the waves in the ocean that will one day give rise to Galar, you might encounter the rock normal type King Ocean. King Ocean is the false king Pokemon, its name coming from king and ocean. King Ocean patrols the open ancient seas in search of prey, using its tall crest to intimidate its prey. King Ocean is based on Leopleurodon. The Leopleurodon has gone through quite significant size changes. Back in 1999, when Leopleurodon was showcased in the Walking with Dinosaurs docuseries, was said to be 25 meters long. In more recent times, Leopleurodon has shown to actually be around 5 to 7 meters in length, and even the largest of its kind reaching 10 to 14 meters. This is why I chose to design the mon the way I did. The normal type is to allude to how Leopleurodon's true size is much smaller than it was made out to be, making its size closer to that of a regular great white as opposed to a giant sea reptile. Its king motif also comes from that same idea as to how King Ocean knows it isn't as big as it thinks it is, so it uses its crown-shaped crest to appear larger and more royal than those that it shares its ocean with. I know it might not seem like the strongest justification for its typing, but it makes sense to me. If we move a little southeast to another region, we'd be able to come across a forest full of tiny bug-type Pokemon. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for Tadtiny, the unassuming Pokemon. Tadtiny gets its name from tadpole, like the larval stage of a frog, and tiny because it's small. When Tadtiny reaches level 32, it evolves into Frogess. Frogess is the princess Pokemon, its name coming from frog and princess. Frogess are dainty Pokemon, often perched atop tall trees and waiting for food to arrive to them. This whole line is based on the Anurognathus, a genus of tiny pterosaur, its name in Greek meaning frog jaw, which is why I decided to use some frog inspiration when designing them. And since I mainly use frogs to design them, I wanted to tie in the story about the princess and the frog, where a princess kisses a frog and it turns into a prince, to help inform its rock fairy typing. The design also has some hints to feathering because Anurognathus were covered heavily in pycnofibers, making them look all cute and fuzzy. Another reason why I chose it to be the rock fairy type. Wrapping up the Fossilmon of the Jurassic, I just realized both of them are royalty inspired, a king with King Ocean and a princess with Frogess. But now we'll be moving on to an even earlier time in history. We're traveling back to the Triassic period 201 million years ago. Here, there are no separate regions, just one giant landmass. It is a harsh place dominated by deserts. However, there are still areas of green and lush forests, with a climate that's moist and temperate. We will be venturing there to find Illuvis, the elusive Pokemon. Illuvis gets its name from illusion, elusive, and vision. Eluvis can be found crawling along trees in search of small bug-type Pokemon. It uses the structures on its back to hypnotize and lure its prey. And reaching level 30, while holding a Payapa berry, Eluvis evolves into Deluspine. Deluspine is the Delusion Pokemon. Deluspine gets its name from delusion and spine. In ancient times, Deluspine are seen staying extremely still on tree branches. Their colorful appearance lures in unsuspecting bug types. So Eluvis and Deluspine are the rock psychic fossils based on the elusive Longisquama, an extinct reptile from the middle to late Triassic. I've known about the Longisquama ever since Matthew Santoro used to make top 10 videos, and I've always wondered why it hasn't been made into a Pokemon yet. Its back spines are so interesting and unique. I wanted to play around said spines. In Walking with Dinosaurs 1999, it is suggested that the Stegosaurus flushed blood into its plates to give them color and to intimidate predators. I wanted to apply the same logic here for Longisquama. Its back spines are decorated with eye-like shapes to ward off bigger predators, but its unusual coloring amongst foliage make it stand out to its own prey. I also think that making a psychic type prey on bug types is interesting, seeing as psychic types are weak to bug types. But if the bug type doesn't know it's about to get eaten by a psychic type, would they still have the advantage? Lastly, just to wrap up, we just gone over the Triassic Fossilmon in Eluvis and Deluspine. So lastly, we'll be going back much further to a time before the more commonly known Fossilmon even began to evolve. Welcome to the Permian period, 250 million years ago. The massive singular landmass from the Triassic actually formed in the Permian. The climate is extremely hot, about 60% hotter than it is today, with constant volcanic activity, but here in the arid desert, we can find a Gorgite, the rascal Pokemon. Gorgite gets its name from bite to reference its big pointed teeth, ite because it felt like it would fit a little guy, and Gorgonopsid, a clade of Therapsids, an ancient clade that while looking quite reptilian are actually more closely related to us mammals than they are to other reptiles. Gorgite are extremely cheery Pokemon, often play fighting with one another, but sometimes they might go a little too far, as seen by their scars. After reaching level 34 and defeating 5 fighting type Pokemon, Gorgite evolves into Gorbrawl. Gorbrawl is the rough Pokemon. Gorbrawl gets its name from the aforementioned Gorgonopsid clade, and Brawl like to fight. In ancient times, Gorbrawl were extremely territorial Pokemon. They will not be afraid to start a fight with any Pokemon big or small. The scars on their bodies are a testament to the many battles they've been in. Gorgite and Gorbrawl are the rock fighting fossils that are based on Gorgonopsids as mentioned. I wanted to think of some unique animals to give the fighting type to. I was toying between the idea of making a fighting type Iguanodon or Pachycephalosaur, but I ultimately landed on Gorgonopsids because of their speculated method of hunting, being face biting. Gorgonopsids hunted animals like Scutosaurus, which are extremely rough, so I used that to integrate the scars on their design. If we move southeast from where we currently are, we'd arrive at a floodplain covered in lakes and many small and straight streams. Here, you'd be able to come across a Bretox. Bretox is the nibble Pokemon, its name coming from Bret, like a little annoying child, and Tox, from toxic, like poison. The two sharp teeth sticking out of Bretox's mouth are capable of delivering venom into its prey. However, this toxin is only able to cause its prey to start itching. At level 28, Bretox evolves into Venomunch. Venomunch is the bite Pokemon. It gets its name from venom, like poison, and munch, like biting. Not an Ice Spice fan. Venomunch use their sharp fangs to deliver potent toxins into their prey, rendering them paralyzed before consumption. Bretox and Venomunch are the rock poison fossils inspired by the earliest poisonous mammal, Eucambersia. There's actually been some back and forth on whether Eucambersia actually did possess venom glands and uses its enlarged canines to deliver said venom, but as of right now, the consensus is that they were venomous. Eucambersia is yet another animal closer to us mammals than they are to the dinosaurs. If you move towards the west of the large landmass, you can expect to come across vast wetlands with a wide variety of truly ancient Fossilmon, but the one we'll be focusing on today is Sandale. Sandale is the rock slab Pokemon. Sandale comes from sand and sail, pretty explanatory there, and is also like a small play on the name of another Pokemon, Sandile, as well as on the word sundial. Sandale are commonly found basking in the sun using its rock slab-like sail to regulate its temperature. When reaching level 40 in the day, Sandale will evolve into Sediment. Sediment is the Badlands Pokemon. Sediment gets its name from sediment, like sand and mud, and Demet from Dimetrodon, the animal this Pokemon is based on. A genus of Synapsid, which is a clade that's closer to mammals than dinosaurs like the Therapsids. Sediment are apex predators of its time and region. Despite how heavy its sail looks, Sediment uses them as intimidation displays and sometimes as weapons. Sandale and Sediment are the rock ground fossils that I feel are the most out there Fossilmon I made for this video. I did some research of existing Dimetrodon Fakemon and I saw quite a few of them being sundial related or evolving into Spinosaurus. While I was a little tempted to do something similar, I wanted to give my own spin to it, and I got into the idea of making the sail similar to the layers of sediment you can see in like stone or like the Badlands. That's also usually the visuals that some infographics use to show our prehistory. Its sail can be used as a sundial as well, but that isn't the main idea for them. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. Now, every single rock typing combination has its own Fossilmon. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something new about the history of our planet. Thank you for your patience on this video. It was definitely a way for me to train myself to stay focused while not being burnt out. I will say I do want to revisit some of these mons in the future to redo them and make them nicer. But let me know what you thought of the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'll catch all of you in the next video where I'll actually be standing on your car this time. I forgot to do that at the start of this video. Alright, bye bye.